Recently on this show, I reviewed The Deadly Spawn and Planet of Dinosaurs, two movies that, despite their extremely low budgets, still managed to have some pretty impressive effects, and showed that with a little hard work, filmmakers can do a lot with a little. So having said all that, here's War of the Robots, a movie that shows that with a little bit of money, you can accomplish even less than people expect. Well, another day, another Italian Star Wars knockoff. War of the Robots is a 1978 sci-fi movie made by Italian director Alfonso Brescia, and is actually the third of 4 sci-fi movies he made over the course of about a year, the others being War of the Planets, Battle of the Stars, and Star Odyssey. What do all these movies have in common? Well, they all wanted some of that sweet Star Wars box office, but they could only afford to spend about $20, which is why all 4 movies reuse a lot of the same costumes, sets, and effects. The movie's public domain, which means you can find it on several bargain bin DVD collections like this one. Oh, and another movie on this collection? None other than Escape from Galaxy 3, aka Star Crash 2. Although, it says here it was made in 1976 when it was actually made in 1981, so I guess even this DVD set doesn't give a shit about that movie. Okay, so it's on the same box set as Star Crash 2, but does that mean it's as bad as Star Crash 2? Oh yeah, it's bad. It's real fucking bad. The movie stars Antonio Sabato, who's mostly famous for being the father of Antonio Sabato Jr., who's mostly famous for having a great set of abs, and also for being kind of a dick. Well, I'll give it this, unlike Planet of Dinosaurs, this movie actually remembered to include 2 thes in the title. Whoa, 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 take it easy, movie. Don't you know GORE isn't advertiser friendly? This video's gonna get flagged. Oh, god damn it. Well, this isn't a good sign. The music appears to have been copyrighted by Nazis. And speaking of the music... Hey, if you can't get Kraftwerk to do your soundtrack, just press the demo button on a Casio. And nice try, movie, but I happen to know this isn't a nice film. Anyway, time to get a taste of what this movie's like.
Space Station Sirius calling Spaceport. Security satellite in Sector H has ceased functioning. Send out technical team to reactivate.
You can tell it's the future because they're saying a bunch of space stuff. Antonio Sabato plays our main character, John Boyd. Doesn't quite have the same ring as Luke Skywalker. And you can tell he's the hero because he immediately starts making out with the first woman we see in the movie. Well, nice to know in the future the Apple Watch finally caught on. Unfortunately, their makeout session is interrupted by a peeping Prince Valiant. Oh, and by the way, these gold guys with the bad wigs? Those are the robots. Yeah, these are supposed to be our villains for the movie. I guess it's pretty easy to take over the universe when people can be defeated by shining a flashlight at them. The robots are after a professor who's on the verge of a scientific breakthrough.
I'm on the verge of discovering a secret that will lead to immense power.
Is it the secret to making giant Jolly Ranchers? Because that's what it looks like. Maybe the robots just have a sweet tooth.
Who are you?
That does not matter. I cannot explain. We do not have the time.
Yeah, get used to hearing that sentence. You know how the first Star Wars movie put you right in the middle of the action and then gradually filled in how the movie's universe worked? This movie is like that minus the gradually filling in part. After kidnapping the professor and John's girlfriend Lois, the robots leave in their spaceship, but since they couldn't afford that effect, you'll just have to trust that that's what this guy's looking at.
A gang of aliens has kidnapped Professor Carr and Lois, his assistant. I actually saw it happen.
Well, that's good, because the audience sure didn't. So it turns out the professor had discovered a way to create life, and there's also a nuclear reactor that's about to explode, and only the professor can turn it off because science, space, future, something, I don't know. You know a movie's not interested in explaining things properly when the screen keeps cutting off the guy giving the exposition. John assembles a crew to go rescue the professor, and I have no idea where they're going, but I hope they run into the ladies from Spaced Out. At least then this movie might have some nudity. Anyway, let's meet our crew.
Since the captain doesn't even notice you, why don't you just drop them off on the satellite?
We'll take the rest of us back home, huh?
Well, there's a good sign. The other characters are plotting to kill our hero and just leave the movie. But they can't leave yet. We still haven't gotten to the amazing space scenes in this movie. You know, considering this is an Italian exploitation movie, this feels appropriate. This movie may not be Star Crash, but it did remember to bring its own Marjo Gortner. And you might want to hurry up. At this rate, you'll never rescue the professor.
If we maintain this velocity, we'll catch up to them quite soon.
Could have fooled me. After some robot ships arrive, we get our first space battle of the movie, which mostly consists of the characters reading coordinates and saying what they're gonna do rather than actually showing it.
Range 1082. Angle of elevation 13 degrees.
I guess it doesn't matter since they take care of the enemy ships anyway.
Yeah! On target!
Reach it! Don't get cocky!
They may have won, but things aren't going too well back on Earth.
What has happened to the ship?
I don't know, sir, but we appear to be getting attacked by a giant game of Simon. Meanwhile, the ship makes its way to a nearby asteroid. Unfortunately, they run out of gas before they can get there. I can tell you one thing, NASA must be glad they hired Stanley Kubrick to fake the moon landing and not this guy.
All right, put on your anti-radiation spacesuits. Come on, let's go.
But remember, the anti-radiation spacesuits don't come with helmets, so everybody try really hard not to get brain cancer, okay? As if the low production values weren't bad enough. I think this movie might have also invented shaky cam. You know, the more I watch this movie, the less it feels like an Italian knockoff of Star Wars and more like I'm watching a Turkish version of Doctor Who. And now that I say that, I wonder if that actually exists. Okay, I would make fun of that, but so far, that makeup is the most convincing thing in this movie. And nice to know what the guy from The People That Time Forgot looked like before he let himself go.
Can you understand? I am leader of these people.
Yes, I understand. Thanks to this electronic translator.
He's speaking English, dummy! The aliens don't prove to be very friendly, but thankfully our characters are saved by more inexplicable bullshit.
What's going on?
Hey, don't ask me, I don't know what's happening. I guess I shouldn't be surprised this is happening, since I'm pretty sure this movie causes seizures. The robots are on the asteroid too, although I'm not sure what they're doing there or what their relationship to these other aliens are, since this whole movie feels like jumping halfway into a TV series I didn't follow. Oh, and I guess the Marty Feldman aliens are good guys now?
I will lead you to Anthor. I worked for many years on the construction of the Imperial Palace there, and I know the layout perfectly. I'm sure you'll find your friends inside it.
Oh, well, it's a good thing our heroes made a stopover on Planet Plot Convenience. And wasn't there a reactor that was going to explode?
It's no use. There's nothing we can do. Even our greatest experts are baffled.
Why? Were they trying to figure out the plot? Our heroes blast off and go to the robots' planet, although it looks almost exactly like the one they just left. Oh well, one advantage to making a movie in Italy, you can film on the street and it still looks pretty cool. Also, not only is the professor seemingly working with the robots, but he also appears to have created a giant slot machine.
I must admit I'm most impressed at the courage shown by you and your men.
What do you mean by that, Professor? Can you explain yourself better?
Fun fact, that's also what Antonio Sabato said to the director after reading the script. And in case you had any doubt this was trying to cash in on Star Wars... You know what? Just play the clip.
I think George Lucas gonna sue somebody.
Our heroes eventually get captured and are taken before a council of Emperor Palpatines. Wait a second. This movie came out before we saw what the Emperor looked like in Star Wars. Oh no, don't tell me Star Wars actually took something from this movie! And apparently John's girlfriend is the Empress of this planet, and her and the Professor are actually evil? Or something? Even the actors look like they don't know what the fuck is going on.
I don't think I quite understand. I don't really see what you're trying to say. Can you explain more clearly?
Yes, please, for the love of God, explain what's going on! It gets even more confusing when Lois seemingly betrays the Professor to rescue our heroes.
This is a very powerful disintegrator. Kill the guards when I distract their attention.
I'm pretty sure they heard you. Oh well, I guess it doesn't really matter since they fall for it anyway.
John, don't forget about all the rest of us.
Yeah, make out with Italian Bridget Nielsen for a little bit. Lois helps our heroes escape after giving the professor an exploitation movie lobotomy, and at this point I have no idea whose side she's supposed to be on, but thankfully, I also don't care. One thing's for sure, Prune-Face Palpatine does not look pleased.
I know how to prevent their escape, but I need the Professor and the Empress alive.
That's great. Who are you again? They better hurry up and get the hell out of there. The cops are coming and they don't have a permit to film here.
What's happening now?
It's an invisible energy screen. The Raptor went through it and was atomized.
You sure it's invisible? You sure you just couldn't afford that effect? That wouldn't surprise me considering they couldn't even afford to add lasers. I keep half expecting the characters to say, "Hey, I got you, you're dead now." Nuh-uh, no you didn't. After all, the characters do act like little kids.
You're wasting your time on that guy. Why don't you get interested in someone else? A nice fellow like me, for instance.
Oh, and it turns out the robots are actually robots. Surprised? Because the actors sure seem to be.
Did you know they were just robots?
No.
I don't think that was in the script. I think the actors were having a candid conversation on set and they just decided to put it in the movie. They make it back to the ship and take off, and if you thought this was the climax of the movie, guess again. There's still more than 30 minutes left. They better hurry up and make it back to Earth. The movie's color budget's starting to run out. So it turns out the nuclear reactor is still about to explode, and they need the professor to provide a formula that'll shut it down because science, space, stuff, whatever. I'm with the actors. Time to stop trying to figure out what's going on and just get high. Before he can stop the reactor, the professor gets killed by somebody off-screen and dies in O-face. So does that mean we can just drop that plot line?
I don't understand it. What's going on around here?
You know, if they made a drinking game for every time a character asks what the hell is going on in this movie, the amount of people dying from alcohol poisoning would skyrocket. And it turns out Lois is the one who killed the professor and is working with the robots, so I guess she really is evil? I don't know.
I don't get it.
Well, better late than never.
We're at the head of a large fleet of Anthor spaceships. If you'll help us to get it through the satellite defense system, we'll become the absolute masters of the universe.
Yeah, this isn't even close to Masters of the Universe, and I'm not even a huge fan of that movie. Things look bad, but fortunately, John has a foolproof plan.
Get him, you guys!
Ah, the psych-out method. Well, whatever works.
Stop fighting or I'll kill him.
Okay, that was easy. They may have defeated the robots, but now that the professor's dead, how are they going to stop the reactor?
Dr. Wilkes here says Professor Carr used to make notes on memory slides. And the professor used to carry some of them around with him because he was very forgetful.
Whew, thank God. I forgot in bad sci-fi movies you can just make shit up. Look, it's nice that you found a way to stop the reactor, but you might want to pay attention. Your villain's getting away here. After Lois is picked up by more of the robots, we now get our climactic space battle of the movie. And if they ever decide to make an Italian knockoff of Tron, they can just reuse these costumes. Also, the space battle is less of an action sequence and more just characters explaining shit.
Right, let's check our coordinates.
We're ready to attack them. General Gonant will take the majority of the enemy spaceships, flying in his own formation.
Look! They're attacking us!
John, I'm attacking. I'm covering you. Hit them.
This is like if at the end of Star Wars, instead of actually showing the Death Star blow up, they just had Luke say, "Oh look, the Death Star blew up. I'm flying home now. The movie is ending." This might not be a very good knockoff of Star Wars, but it is a pretty decent adaptation of Space Invaders. In fact, not only do the actors look like they're in arcade booths, but I think they use actual 70s arcade game footage in the movie. Oh, and this space battle goes on for over 20 minutes. And it's mostly just the same shots repeated over and over again. Yeah, and you thought the pod race scene from Phantom Menace was long.
John, help me! I'm surrounded here!
Try spinning, that's a good trick. And did Yoda and the Emperor fuck in this movie's universe? Who the hell is this supposed to be? Good God, this space battle is still going? Please tell me they have a plan to end this movie.
I have an idea.
Yeah, what?
Torpedoes. They contain hundreds of energy grenades that all explode simultaneously.
Why haven't we been using them?
Because the movie's already pulled so much out of its ass, it's hard to keep track of what's left up there. Okay, so the torpedoes work, I guess. The Empress is destroyed, I guess. And the Earth is saved, I guess.
At this point, I feel like I'm dreaming, John.
Really? Because I feel like I'm in a nightmare and it's taking me forever to wake up. So that's War of the Robots, and in addition to being on the same box set as Star Crash 2, it's also giving it some serious competition for worst movie I've ever done on this show. This movie is bad. I'm talking holy shit bad. I've said before that the worst movies are the ones who manage to find that sweet spot between being stupid and being boring. Well, this movie manages to find the G-spot of pure suck. And what's even more baffling is that there's 3 more movies like this one out there. You know, after suffering through this movie, I think I'm gonna need to return to an old friend next episode. Well, that's all for now, and if I'm lucky, that's all for Alfonso Brescia for this series. See ya!
Sorry.